Have you ever been in a situation where you were really upset about something, but up until a certain point, you were able to keep those emotions under control? And then you have a conversation with somebody and they ask you, so how are you doing? And then you admit that you're having a really tough time and suddenly those emotions overwhelm you and you begin to cry. Now, I've never had that experience because I don't cry. But the reason I think that happens is because when you verbalize thoughts like that, they become incarnate in a way that gives them more consequence. And as a result, they become more difficult to control. Thoughts that only ever remain thoughts have limits. But when we embody those thoughts with words or actions, they can dramatically grow in strength and significance. This is absolutely true of our spirituality. Our spiritual or religious practices can be of a kind that are limited to internal thoughts or immaterial realities, such as praying in your head or keeping your religiosity as a closely guarded secret. But if you pray out loud or participate more actively or physically in community-based worship, then you'll find that your spirituality will take on a new and more vibrant dimension. That's why Catholics are encouraged to express the things that we believe with verbal and physical significance. For example, when we begin to pray, we make the sign of the cross and we announce whose name that we are praying in, which is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. When we celebrate our Sunday liturgy, we sing and respond together with our physical bodies. We stand together, we kneel together, and we respond together as though we were a single organism expressing an otherwise unseen reality. That's why Catholicism is a sacramental spirituality. Sacraments like baptism and communion are physical signs of spiritual realities. When we participate in them, our spirituality overflows into our physical lives and affects us in ways that it wouldn't if we avoided such practices. And God agrees. That's why he became a man, why the Word became flesh in the person of Jesus. His immaterial being became material so that we could encounter the unseen spiritual reality of his existence. And that same incarnation isn't just limited to the 33-year lifespan of the man Jesus, but it ripples out through space and time through his body of believers who express their faith in him both spiritually and physically. This emphasis on redemption taking place through physical reality via the incarnation of God should help us understand why Catholic spirituality places a similar emphasis on the role of matter in our spiritual practices. We see things like beautiful art and design as expressions of God's beauty and glory, as well as our own calling to be creators as we are created in his image. The sacraments, again, are very physical, but no less spiritual for it. Our sacred spaces are filled with imagery and statues to remind us that God's plan for salvation has a material dimension to it and isn't just some unseen spiritual reality. Our liturgy is filled with sensory elements like incense and candles, music, vestments, and sacred vessels. Now, to some people, this looks like idolatry, but something that is fundamental to idolatry is that it is supplementary to worship of God. It is a case in which you give yourself over to something or someone other than God. In Catholic practices, we don't worship anything or anyone other than God. We use these material aspects of reality to encounter the living God who himself used matter to reveal himself to the world through Jesus. Since that moment, in the fullness of time, matter has been revealing God in new and profound ways, and we as members of his body use these elements as we respond to his invitation to spiritual and physical harmony. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed that video, then consider subscribing or liking or following along. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. And if you want to support the making of these videos, then please consider supporting the business that makes them possible. Holdsworth Design is a company that specializes in digital media and design and branding, and specializes specifically in helping ministries and churches. So go check out our website and consider sharing it with a friend.